Welcome to my vertical obsession, and on today's episode we are talking about Love and Blood from ReelShort. This came out in early September, and I remember seeing all the TikToks of the behind the scenes for this one, and it made me just want to see it, and I kept waiting and waiting for it to come out, and it finally did, thanks to ReelShort, because those clips made it seem so interesting, and I was just like, okay, well, I need to know what this is about now, especially with the cast. You had Eric, Mark, Mariah, Kara, and Naomi, and I happen to enjoy all their series, and I try to watch when I can. I know there's just so many, but I do try to check all the ones out that I can. I do know that Mariah has a new one coming out with Jesse Morales soon, and I'm looking forward to that one because I adore Jesse Morales, and that one looks really good. And I mean, I try to keep up with all the ones that I can, but because there's so many different platforms for these, it's hard to keep up, but I'm doing my best. But this was definitely one that I was like, it was on my radar. I needed to see it, and it's been a long couple of months waiting to find out about this. But once it was posted, you kind of understand why it took so long, because they had special effects, and they probably were waiting for a good time to drop it that everyone would be anticipating and wanting to watch it. So I do love that. But I also kind of always thought that it was one of those things where they would film it and then they would drop it not long after filming it. I also thought that when it came to the ones that involved like werewolves and vampires and had all these special effects, and I don't know why my brain thought that they would drop that fast, because I do understand how long it takes for special effects sometimes, because I went to school for video production, so I never really dabbled in special effects. I did attempt to do some in a class, so it's not as easy as it looks. Not at all. So I do know that it does take time, especially when you want to get it perfect or as perfect as you can. Plus, editing also takes time too. Like I said, I went to school for editing, and my brain was just like, oh, they film it, they edit quickly, and then they toss it out. And I don't know why. I should know so much better than that. Shame on me. But going back to this, it was definitely 100% worth the wait. I enjoyed everything about it. Everything that I kind of thought about it because of the clips that I saw was completely different. Like, I don't really know where my brain went with this story, but for some odd reason, it went somewhere completely different than what was actually the story. Because I definitely never thought about like the prophecy at all, or had a prophecy in mind when it came to this. I also don't think I realized that the character of Noah was a angel, or Nephilim, as he turned out to be. I did not see that. I think I thought they were just like all vampires, and it was just like vampire clans fighting each other, kind of like rival vampire clans fighting each other. Don't ask me why, but that's like the vibe I got from the clips. Even though I think Sophie, the character of Sophie in like the clips they showed, mentioned she was human. And I'm talking about the TikToks behind the scenes that were posted back in December for this. My brain just kind of created this whole story. So I was like, I need to see this. And I was pleasantly surprised. I was so happy when I was like shocked by the storyline, and it was nothing like I envisioned. This is why I don't write stories or plot them out, because I was so far off. So far off. And I do have to say that I loved how powerful the character of Amara was. And she definitely gave off this like queen type vibe, even though I think Dorian was supposed to be like the head or the leader of the two of them, mostly because I think Victoria's dad was not one to really listen to Amara. That's the vibe I kind of got. So I really liked that she was very powerful and stood up for herself and kind of was basically the leader. I mean, I'm not a fan of the fact that she tried to kill her brother, but it made sense for the characters that she felt he was weak, especially now that Sophia was in the picture, because he was in love with her sister, who she deemed was a weakness to him. So it would compromise them, especially when it came to this prophecy. She would be a liability, so she had to protect herself and the vampires. So she did the one thing that she thought she needed to do, which was take out her brother, who didn't actually end up dying. That's kind of where I saw that going. I also kind of was waiting for her to betray Victoria. So I was happy that she never did that, but I still kept waiting for it. Like, I kept waiting for her to backstab Victoria in the end. I got that vibe that it was going to happen, but never did. And I was pleasantly surprised by that. But I was also very confused as to why she and Victoria lived. Like, why did Amara and Victoria live, but all the other vampires died? I kind of was a little bit confused by that. And if there ever is a sequel to this, I kind of hope it would explain why they survived. But at the same time, I feel like the ritual to make Sophia evil might have been the reason for why Amara lived and Victoria lived. That's one of the things that I could surmise. But I also totally thought that it was going to end on a happy note until we saw Victoria and Amara surviving, and it ending with the two of them being together and saying that this isn't the end, that this isn't how it all was going to end. So when Sophia and Noah kissed and he survived and lived and they were happy, it was like, oh good, it's ending, happy note, everything, vampires are dead, they lived, they get their happy ending, only for it to be a plot twist with the two vampire girls survived. So it's like, did not see that coming. And at the same time, I slightly expected Noah to die, because I thought Noah would die, because this was a lot grittier than the normal standard verticals that I've watched or that they have produced, because most of them end with happy endings. So the way this was going, it was a lot grittier, it was a lot more intense, and it just gave off a different type of vibe, which I feel like it would be a fantastic TV series, and it probably should be, because I think there's so much they could probably do with that. I think it would be fun. Since it was a lot darker and a lot more intense, when it got to Noah dying by the hands of Sophia because of what Amara had done, when she was hoping and trying to save him, I was like, he's gonna die, and this is not going to end happy. But I was very happy to be proven wrong, and that he did survive, and they did end happy, which, if this continues, or if there is a sequel, it may be short-lived. We'll have to wait and see. But again, I want a sequel. I need a sequel. It ended in a little bit of a typo, but also with that cliffhanger that could make it continue, and I will continue to want that sequel so much. Also, doesn't hurt that I would love to see Eric, Naomi, Mariah, Kira, and Mark working on that together, or just in general. I mean, granted, they all kind of worked with each other throughout different projects, so it's not like they don't work together, but to have them all together in one project, again, I think that would be fun, and I would so be here for that. But that was my thoughts on Love and Blood. I will work on figuring out better ways to articulate what I'm saying, how I feel, how I enjoy the series, because I do want to continue to do reviews like this for the different series and talk about different things. But I know sometimes I go off on like little tangents about different things and I get sidetracked, and then trying to pull myself back can be difficult at times, but I'll get there. And maybe I'll have to add like a rating system for these different ones, because this is definitely a 10 out of 10. I would 100% watch it again. I loved everything about it. Like I said, it was a great series, and I've probably said that a couple times throughout this, but it was. I really enjoyed it, and I would really love to see a sequel happen again. But I will have to settle for shorts that include the cast, especially if the cast working together again. I will definitely be watching those, and I will continue to do these little reviews, videos, and talking about the different series. And as we continue, we'll kind of find our flow and figure out what works and what doesn't. I look forward to continuing to make these episodes and share my thoughts with you all. Still figuring out which series to talk about to start off with, but I figured I would start off with this one because it was most anticipated and one that I really enjoyed. So this has been my vertical obsession, and until next time.